Good evening and welcome to the CSU Lakers show with Coach Alexander. This is our first show. I want to welcome everybody to the show. We're excited to be one of the first schools in the Peach Belt Network to be able to have a coaches show, and I'm honored to be able to host it as your host, David Jones, and of course we have Coach Vince Alexander here today. How you doing, Coach?
Doing great, Dave. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing great. It's an honor to be able to host this show and be one of the first universities in the Peach Belt to have this show. And we wanted to bring more light to Clayton State as we talk more about your program. We talk more about Clayton State. We talk about a plethora of things to get people more educated on what you're doing at Clayton State.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate all your efforts and everything you do to
Oh,
go above
no
and
problem.
beyond to put it out there. So
Yeah,
thank you.
it's been a pleasure to see, how far you've come these 3 years as a coach. And we can jump right into that as well, Coach. You know, as I talked about this last week, when we watched Clayton State play Clark last week, and we looked at, and I sent you a text. I sent you a text late at night because it was just
Yeah.
on my mind when I said, "Man, this atmosphere is electric now." To see how far you brought the culture from, when you first came in to now.
Mm-hmm.
We had a packed house there. We had a packed
Yeah.
house at Clayton State for that Clark Atlanta Clayton State game.
Yeah. It was great to see, Dave. It was electrifying. The only thing I wish differently was, we could have won that game, but Clark did a great job and obviously won the game. We struggled a little bit without Jamal Kleiss that game, and he's an energy guy for us. But nevertheless, it was a great atmosphere. Looking forward to continuing to build that, and especially with the teams around here, Morehouse, Clark, and some of those schools that are in this area that we can make a big draw like that.
You brought up a good point in playing the Morehouses, the Clarks, and I said it on the broadcast as well. Like, this is the version of with me being from Pittsburgh, we have the version of the city game where Pitt would play Duquesne every year. We call it the city game. And this, I said this is a great version of the D2 city game where you have Clayton State playing Morehouse and Clark every year. And this type of atmosphere will draw a lot of excitement and as well as a lot of fans as well.
Yeah, I mean, we really enjoyed it. We thought, it was everything we expected. We thought we would have a great crowd. It would be a big draw, and it was that. It was exciting. Like I said, it was electrifying. It was awesome. I wish that, my dream and desire is to try to bring a classic together like that with Morehouse, us, and maybe another team, maybe Columbus State or something like that.
Yes.
And we come over and just have a weekend of just great local basketball. And I'm hoping to be able to put that together here in the future, but we'll see what happens. But it was great,
Absolutely.
Dave. It was great.
It was great, and just to show, not only it was a really good game, and yes, like you said, Clark came out victorious, but how far Clayton State has come in these 3 years. You are right there on the cusp of having Clayton State as one of the upper echelon teams of the Peach Belt, and a lot of people don't realize what you're doing, and it's no longer what you're quietly doing. It's pretty soon that when this season comes, because you opened a lot of eyes when you scrimmaged Young Harris at the beginning of the year, and you guys won pretty handily. And now you're giving the Clarks and the Morehouses, which are very good, and Miles, which are very good SIAC teams. You're right there in the running, in the thick of things with them. This is no longer you have to battle back. Like, that game was so intense, the Clark game. It felt like it was an NCAA D2 tournament game.
Yeah, it did. It had everything in the makings to be like an NCAA tournament game. It was awesome, and like I said, the only thing I regret is that we didn't come out on top. But it was a very good Clark team, and we were right there, and I thought, we could have won that game. We missed 13 free throws that night.
Yes.
And then, like I said, we played without Jamal Clyce, but it was a great game. They did a great job, a great atmosphere. You and Todd made it awesome with the announcing of the game. And, it was just a really, really good atmosphere the whole night.
I couldn't agree more with you that, the atmosphere was awesome. And, this rolls us right into our next segment. As we talk about the players, your players for this year, for the 23-24 season, it's exciting to see that your team is so deep. It's so deep. And, I talk about that on the broadcast all the time, how deep you can go, quite honestly, 11, 12 deep easily. And the drop-off is it's not that much of a drop-off. And to be honest, the freshmen, what they're giving you now as they're starting to get their own little, find their way, as we think of Elijah and we think of Marcus, of what they're doing as well. I mean, it's really going to be an interesting conference season come January.
I agree with you. These guys are getting better. You got to think, playing in that atmosphere for the first time, our freshmen, and I thought they did a pretty good job. They're working hard. They're coming in every day, doing the extra things to try to get better. And we know that in the long run, it's going to pay off. We know we played a tough schedule. We're not afraid of that. We're not ashamed of that. We have played a very tough schedule. We could easily be, 6-0.
Yes.
Very well could be, a couple of possessions away. But we're also learning a lot through those losses, and hopefully we stay healthy and we get everybody together, and it's going to be a very, very good Peach Belt season for us this year.
And there's one other freshman that I definitely want to mention, because you can see the potential in him. At Kenneth Brayboy, athletic, tough. I mentioned Marcus and Elijah playing really well at the guards, but Kenneth he's going to be an interesting piece for you as he continues to get that confidence and grow.
Yeah, he is. And he's one of our toughest kids. Young, he makes a few mistakes here and there, but in the long run, he has a toughness about him. He has great experience of being in state championship games. He doesn't back down. As a freshman, I'm proud of all three of them, to be honest with you, Elijah, Marcus, and Brayboy. I think they're going to be tremendous freshmen. They're going to do a great job. They're going to have a great career here.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I definitely want to mention your staples of the team, your seniors. When you talk about Wes and TJ Stargell, like, Wes is playing really well right now. And, I mentioned that to Coach Anthony as well. I said, hey, man, Wes is playing really well, and he's really brought his game along from this time last year to now.
Yeah, Wes has been a bright spot for us. He's shooting the ball a lot better this year, shooting the ball like we know he's capable of. He's doing a really good job. He stepped it up defensively. We need him to step it up a little bit more, but he stepped it up defensively, rebounding. I mean, he's averaging a little bit over 2 blocks a game.
Yes, he is.
Nearly 3 blocks a game. And so he's doing a great job. Very proud of him. Very proud of the work that he's put in, and it's paying off for him, and it's going to pay off for us in the long run.
And I couldn't agree more. And your quarterback, as I call him, TJ Stargell, a transferred in, he gives me the vibes of, one of my favorite Clayton State players of all time. He gives me the vibes of Brian Coffey. He's going to be so important to you guys as the season continues on.
Yeah, he's been battling this foot injury. He goes and then he gets hurt again. Then he goes and he's gotten hurt again, and he's battling through. But TJ is, I was telling him today, I was like, you're the strongest and fastest point guard in this league, and you've got to play to that potential, and you've got to lead this team. And he's very capable, and I know he's going to. Once he can battle through these injuries, I think he's going to be in great shape, and he's going to do a tremendous job.
I couldn't agree with you more. And your juniors, one of your juniors, two of your juniors, I definitely want to make sure I mention Travis Deuce Harper and Baki Leckie. Both of them are red shirts, so they're really not juniors. They're red shirts,
really sophomores. Yeah,
how far they've come with the development you've done with them. And I mentioned that continuously. The development piece at Clayton State is second to none. When you look how far, I remember Deuce in high school, and I remember Baki in high school as well. And when I look at both of them, I proudly say how far both of them has come. And I tell people, Deuce has the chance to go overseas and make some money.
Yeah. Again, like you mentioned, these are just redshirt sophomores.
Yes.
And they have come a very long way. Those guys are gonna be special. When you think about them and you think about the young freshmen we have and a couple of juniors we have this year, and I'm telling you, the future is bright here. The future is very bright. And Deuce and Baki are certainly at the front of that. They do a great job of leading. They come in, set an example of how hard we want to work. Our player development is next to none. And, the head of that is my assistant, Andre Anthony, who is one of the best to me. Like he really develops our guys and gets them ready. Look how quickly, Deuce and Baki have developed. And then now look at our freshmen and just this short period of time this year, how they've developed. It's next to none. And Coach Andre Anthony does a tremendous job of making sure those guys are being prepared to be pros someday.
I couldn't agree more. And I want to touch on that since you just brought that up. A lot of people don't know the number of pros that you've brought out, not over your career, over these 3 years at Clayton State. I had to make sure that was known as well. A lot of people have this, this premonition sort of, if I go to Clayton State, it's kind of the end of the road. I can't move forward. That's so far from the truth because if I'm not mistaken, it's 5, right?
Yeah, we've had 5 to 6 guys.
Yeah.
We have, Jay Shaw. We have,
Ricardo Lynch.
Kobe Johnson, Ricardo Sams. We also have one more, Womack.
Yeah, Womack. Yep.
Womack's playing. So, in just 3 years, I think we have 6 guys. We have six guys, I believe, playing.
And that's huge. That's huge, Coach. And the other thing that's big as well, and I always want to make sure this is noted as well. Brian Coffey had the opportunity to go overseas, but he chose. He graduated with his MBA, and now he's working at Pepsi now. So he chose to get his career started over going overseas. So that would have been 7.
He definitely had contract offers, and he turned them down. And but he's also working, like you said, for Pepsi. He's doing a great job. Very proud of him. And he comes over. He helps out at home games.
Yes, he does.
He's giving back. He comes back. He sits on the bench. He sits down there, talks to guys, telling them things, telling them what they should be doing. What they didn't do right, what they can do better. Great kid. And, it's nice to have him, come back and give back. But, that would have been 7 had he taken the opportunity to go.
And that speaks a lot for you when you have graduates come back and still want to be part of the program. That speaks not only for you, that speaks for the culture you have built there, that people still want to be a part of this. Just like, we all love Jay Shaw and he's overseas, but I'm sure if he was here in Atlanta, he would be down here at the games as well.
Oh yeah, don't no doubt. Any one of them, if they were here, they would definitely be there, right there behind the team. We say family, and we believe it, and we live it. We don't just throw some word out there just to sound good. We believe that we are a family, and we also we try to remember those guys, and we stay in touch with those guys like Rick. We talk to on a regular basis. Ricardo
Mhm.
Sam, Kobe
Yes.
Johnson. Jay Shaw, Womack. We talk to those guys on a regular basis, and you see Brian is here giving back. I mean, it's just awesome, man. It's awesome the culture that we're building here, and we're steps away. We're just steps away from turning the corner, and it's gonna happen. It's gonna
I,
happen.
I agree with you. Coach, the other thing I wanted to talk about is your newcomers. And your newcomers are a very vital piece of this team where you have Jamal Kleiss that transferred from Georgia State. You have Mason Pierre that came from Columbus State. You have Eddie Page, who was the JUCO transfer.
Hmm.
You have Muhammad Diallo that came from Morehouse. You also had, you had TJ Stargill, who was the transfer that we talked about. You had Tyler Shirley, who was the D1 drop down from South Alabama. And then you had Kennedy Brown that came from Nebraska, Omaha.
Hmm.
And I'm missing Aaron Pitts. You had Aaron Pitts as well that came from the JUCO. Was one of the top scorers in Georgia JUCO.
Yeah, and then also Keandre Bowles, who
Oh, man, how can I forget? And Keandre came from Dodge City, correct?
yeah, Dodge
Yeah.
City.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have, you know, it's so far it's been, one of those things that it's a great thing, but it's also a challenge because we're new together.
Yes.
Like it's a lot of new faces coming together to try to put all this talent together to try to utilize it on the floor in the right way. And that's what we're working through right now. Just trying to use our guys the right way, establish more roles with guys and let them know exactly what their expectations are. We're working on that now, and putting that together. But it's a very talented group, um, and I'm blessed to be a part of it. Blessed to have them here, and looking forward to what we will accomplish together.
I couldn't agree with you more. And and like I said, you're getting ready to head to Florida pretty soon. So you got the two games in Florida, and then you got the game with Fort Valley coming up. What's your
Hmm.
expectations on these games coming up?
Well, my expectation is that we're going to go out and we're going to win these games. We're going to go out and play as hard as we can, making adjustments every game and trying to be, efficient offensively, trying to improve defensively, rebounding. We're working hard to um, change our rebounding scenario, making sure that we get in there like we're on that glass. Also, we're working very hard on our transition defense and trying to improve those things here before conference start. So that's what we're working on. That's what we're going to do. My expectation, Dave, is that we're going to go out and we're going to compete. We're going to compete to the maximum, and we're going to come out on top in these games.
I like that. And also, this year you have, as I say, the horses that the style of play, you want to play that up tempo style and you want to create that havoc and cause those turnovers. And you have more than enough players to where they're not going to get tired out, to where you can get an in and out and keep those games in the 80s and 90s. And I
Hmm.
like to say that's that Coach A style of play.
Hmm. We want to try to, you know, disturb the other team as much as possible with our pressure, our full court pressure, and we gotta really amp that up. We think that that's something that has sort of dropped off us. We got to really amp that up. We're working on that over this break. Since we have these finals and we don't have a game till next Tuesday, we're really trying to amp our pressure up, make adjustments to that, so that we can utilize the depth that we have and the talent that we have. So today was a very good practice, and guys were getting after each other and working hard on our pressure and our transition defense, and working hard on rebounding and just being as efficient as we can offensively and sharing the ball. We've been really working on our guys sharing the ball. When we played Morehouse, we had 27 assists. Against Clark, we had 16. We're trying to keep that thing around 20 and then get them turnovers down, but force more turnovers and, force the other team to, 17 to 20 turnovers a game. And so to do that, we got to be in elite shape, and we got to make sure that our pressure is next to none.
Okay. And one of the things, where do you see yourself this year as a team? Of course, the Peach Belt selections came out in the rankings. They had Clayton State on the lower tier. Where do you think Clayton State is amongst the Peach Belt teams this year?
I do think that we're in the middle of the pack. Yes, they had us at the bottom, and you know what? And based on what we had coming back, we only had 4 players coming back or whatever.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
A couple of them didn't play last year. We really only had Deuce Baki and Wes returning. So based on that, they picked us where they felt like we would go. I don't believe we'll be there. I believe we'll be in the top tier when it's all said and done. But we got to get that. We got to get it done. We got to go out and work and get it done.
Okay. There's a dark horse, I like to say, that a lot of people like. I got the chance to see him at Rice, and I got the chance to see him play a couple times. And I told Coach Anthony he's going to be very important this season as he continues to develop. The 7-footer Muhammad Diallo
is very, very important to this team. And Muhammad is, like I said, he's going to be special. He just needs a little bit of time. We got to clarify some things for him, clear up some things for him, and let him know our expectations and those type of things. And I think, he's going to help us, be where we need to be this year. He's going to do a tremendous job.
You know who's been a pleasant surprise that, I think he has a really good potential behind him is Keandre Bowles.
Yeah, Keandre Bowles can be. You got to remember, he didn't even get to play ball last year. He sat out entire year, and he's just getting back. Like, he's only going to get better.
Yes, he is.
He's only going to get better, and he provides a spark for us off the bench offensively, and and quietly known, he's a rebounder. He gets in there and he grabs boards. He might be averaging 5 rebounds a game. He's behind Deuce, who's our leading rebounder, obviously. And, but Keandre Bowles is going to be special. And the great thing about all these guys, Dave, is that we have them back next year. So we just get better together.
Yeah.
The more time we spend together, the more time we're working and practicing, we're going to get better. We're really new to each other this year. Mm-hmm. They're learning me, we're learning them, they're learning each other. It's going to be special when we get it all together, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. You only have 2 seniors. You have 2 seniors, and that's it. And everybody comes back. And, man, like you said, with what you're building, and, like you said, this year you only have 4 people coming back. So next year you'll have 9 coming back?
Yeah. We have 16 guys. We'll have 14 guys back next year.
Man, that's huge. And not to jump ahead of ourselves, because, this year you guys had a chance to be one of those 4 teams.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do. And we that's what we're striving for, Dave. We're striving to be one of those top 4 teams.
And I can definitely see it. A lot of people, my phone rings continuously, man, what's going on with Clayton State? You know, they look a lot better this year. You know, my first thing is, well, you need to come down and see for yourself, or
Yeah,
you
he
know,
come
jump
check it
on the
out.
Peach Belt Network and watch the games. Because I
Yeah,
said they're building something here, and I said you can see it. And like with me calling the games, you can even hear other fans saying, "No, this is a different team. This is
yeah.
definitely a different team." And I like what you guys are doing. You know, there's one guy on the team, and I always want to mention him. You know, I just want him to really be able to get himself to where he can be such a huge advantage. Is Christian Chambers.
Oh man, yeah, he's really talented. You know, with Deuce being out
Yeah.
last game, he was on a 1 game suspension.
Yes.
But with Deuce being out, Christian stepped up quite a bit. He
Hmm.
ended up getting hurt in the game, but he stepped up quite a bit. He has so much potential, man. He's
Yes.
just got to learn to play within the system and play within his teammates. Sometimes he goes off on his own and he tries to do too much. I think he's learning and he's growing. So we're looking forward to try to get him going at some point here.
I definitely agree on that. The other guy that complements when he comes in as well, that is starting to find his way, Coach, is Aaron Pitts.
Yeah,
I like Aaron Pitts as well. You know, you can see Aaron is trying to find his way of where he fits in best and how he can add to the team. But he's definitely a scorer. There's no question about
yeah,
that.
yeah. He's definitely a guy that can get to the basket and get us a bucket when we need a bucket, and we use him for that. He plays hard on both ends of the floor. He can score. He can score, and he can get it done. Again, he's one of those guys that's trying to figure out his way, trying to figure out his role, and we're trying to help him through that.
Yeah. And one of the guys I love that there's been a huge spark is Tyler Shirley. That Tyler Shirley is talented, definitely talented.
I mean, 6'7", 6'8". He can push you. He can put you on the block. He can take you off the dribble, and he can shoot the three. He's very, 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 very good, and he's going to be special.
Yes,
He's,
he is.
you just got to remember some of these guys didn't play very much where they came from, and now they're stepping into a new role and having to adjust in 1 year. But these guys, Tyler Shirley is going to be special. Going to be very special. Him and Deuce having another year together
Yes,
could be one of the best tandems in the country next year.
I agree.
By the end of this year.
But you know, the one person that I definitely want to mention because of his emotion, he's more like the heart and soul of this team. Is
I know
Jamal Slice.
quite. I just wish he could have played against Clark, and we could have gotten a really good look at what we all look like together because he's an emotional leader for us.
Yes,
He's
you
an
can see
energy
it.
guy. He gets us those extra boards. Hits that midi. Defends at a high level. And just his leadership and experience on the floor is just so valuable. We missed that against Clark, and then we missed Deuce against Carson Newman. That was a setback for us. These last 2 games were setback, but we're moving forward. We're pressing forward. We're not looking at the past. We're using the past to propel us, to the next game.
Absolutely. There's two other players I'd love to mention, and they're still finding their way. Both of them are transfer ins. Eddie Page, the JUCO transfer, and Kennedy Brown, the D1 transfer from Nebraska Omaha. I think as they find how they can add value to the team, there'll be a welcome shot in the arm as well.
Yeah, Eddie's young and he, didn't play a whole lot, and we're trying to get him ready. Kennedy has great experience, but he's trying to find his way. He's going to be a very good player. He's going to help us win championships, but he's trying to find his way as well as some of the other newcomers. But both of those guys should be tremendous for us here this season and in the future.
I definitely agree. And, just seeing, like you said, watching these games over the past couple weeks, from watching the Rice game and watching the progression all the way to the Clark Atlanta game. And, Coach, like we said, that game was special right there. I think that game being scheduled was really good for you because it's preparing you for the season. Those type of games right there.
Yeah. Our schedule, we think, prepares us for this conference. We're playing a really tough schedule.
Yes.
And it's a challenge for us, but that's okay. We're okay with that. It's like, Tennessee, Coach Rick Barnes had lost 3 or 4 games in a row, but he was playing top level teams. And it was like, hey, somebody's going to lose those games. Those are big games, but you can learn so much from those games. You can learn so much you can take away. If you can keep your guys, motivated, which is what we're doing, we're letting our guys know you're playing a tough schedule. It doesn't give you an excuse to lose. But reality is we have 11 new faces, and we're trying to put this thing together pretty quickly, and we're getting there. We're getting there. We're going to work through these things, and you're going to see us have a great season.
I agree. And that leads up into your next 4 games. You have some really tough games coming up. You have Fort Valley State, you have Barry University, you have Florida Southern, who's a perennial power as well. And you finish out the year with Albany State before you get into conference play. Those are all quality opponents right there.
Those are all quality opponents. It's going to be great games, great experience for us. God willing, we come out on top in those. Our goal is to, get into conference with at least, a 6-4 record. That was our goal. So, God willing, we can accomplish that goal and get these next few wins.
Absolutely. And you can tell just by, like I said, the excitement on campus. People are coming to these games and, they're starting to fill up the gym because they can see the spark. They can see the change. They can see the excitement in the air for Clayton State of what's getting ready to happen. We know there's going to be some tough conference games with North Georgia. We know there'll be some tough games with USC Aiken. And of course, Augusta's always, a power as well. But, you guys are right there, are formidable opponents for all these teams. And it's not wild to say that, Clayton State could come out on top of these games because, you showed that early against Young Harris where, even though it was an exhibition, you won that handily, even though they're no longer in the conference.
Yeah. Like you said, we're progressing. We're trying to build something special here. It's great to see people get behind us. They need to, continue to support us and know that these kids are working hard. They're trying to make it happen, trying to put Clayton State in a position where, we're competing nationally. And so that's our goal, and we're going to work towards that. And we're going to believe that we're going to make it happen. We're going to walk in this in a positive way every day. We'll believe in that every day. We got a chance to get better, and we're going to try to do that.
And Coach, I'm excited. I just can't wait to see how the season turns out. I'll be there supporting regardless of if I was broadcasted or not. I'm excited to have this show, which, we're going to do every week from this point forward. We'll be talking about the upcoming games. We'll be talking about the players. We'll be talking about Clayton State just in general, how the season's going. And, it's just an honor for this to be the first show on the Peach Belt Network for the Coaches Show.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thanks to you and your support in making that happen. I think it's going to be a great thing. I think they'll find, a little bit more about our program and how hard we're working and what we're trying to accomplish here and the great kids that we do have.
Absolutely. And, probably next week we'll probably bring on Coach Anthony as well, give him his shine too, because what he does from a development, I talk about that all the time. You brought it up earlier in the show. He does an excellent job, where you see these kids when they first come in, to, when you see them a year later or a year and a half later, like, the work he's done with Deuce and Baki has just been amazing.
It's been amazing, and he does a phenomenal job. It'd be nice to have him on here to celebrate him a little bit,
Absolutely. And, I want to congratulate Coach Anthony, the new parent, as we both know. And, him and his wife have this a new son that was born, about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
No, about a month ago.
It has almost been, man.
Yeah,
I've been all over the place. It's been that fast. Little fella's almost a month now, man.
He's growing, and he's keeping Coach Andre up at night. So,
as we both know, I don't miss those days at all.
Welcome to parenthood.
Absolutely. Well,
welcome
Coach,
to being a great father.
Absolutely, Coach. That's going to do it for tonight. I'm so excited for this show. I want to thank you for being a part of this and agreeing for this. It's just something that I thought would be an added addition for Clayton State and, the Peach Belt Conference as well as the network as well. So we're going to continue to build on this and, just thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you, Dave. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And that'll do it for tonight. Listen, we'll have this show every week from this point forward on the Peach Belt Network. You'll be able to see it on YouTube as well as Twitter as well. As I say, Twitter for you new folks, X, formerly known as Twitter. And we'll continue to run with this. And we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We'll see you next week, and God bless.
God bless. Thank you.